Hey, what's going on? Welcome in. Today, I'm so pleased to be able to tell you that I am able to bring you the full interview that I recorded for the UCB1 Rock Show, featuring none other than Michael Felker, the lead vocalist for the Christian metalcore band Convictions. They are a four-piece band from Freeman, Ohio, and we had a fantastic conversation talking about Michael's life, his journey of faith, and also their latest album, Fear of God. I asked them to start out, as always, by giving us a quick introduction to the band.
So I've been with the band since 2012. The band was actually discussed and workshopped, I want to say as far back as 2007 maybe. And from there they had an original lineup. Zach was a part of that. I actually wasn't the original vocalist, so right now there's technically only one person holding the fort, but yeah, they put the band together. They came up with this cool idea that they're going to talk about their personal convictions, because the idea was brought that they would create a Christian band, and some of the members in the band felt kind of funny, like, oh, well, we're not really worthy to be a Christian band with our lifestyles, drinking and partying, swearing, whatever. So they were like, okay, well, why don't we just put it all on the table and just be super transparent with our struggles and talk about our convictions. So that's where the band name was kind of formed, and then the idea and the ethos was established. And they took off right away. They did a full national tour with the band called the Great Commission, which isn't around anymore. But they did that, and then shortly after their first EP, I Am Nothing, I came into the fold. It was a big pivotal moment in my life, coming to Christ and deciding, a different route with my music and how I wanted to use that platform to express and share my faith. And so it was I had to become a completely different person and kind of try my best to walk a different walk. And that's kind of where the album title "I Will Become" came from. And so from there, put out a couple records. We had a record deal that we ended up buying out of. We've been touring all over the world, and it's just been a crazy roller coaster. Like you mentioned earlier, we've had some members kind of step down, starting families, different career paths, health reasons, you name it. I think at the level that we've been at, it's been you have to sacrifice a lot more than I think a more established, especially financially, well-off band. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster, but the last 3 years or so, we've had the same lineup, and we've been working extremely hard, putting together, a good representation of where we're at and where we want to go.
Oh man, that's cool. I mean, I like that. I mean, one of the things that we talk about a lot on the UCB1 Rock Show is it's basically about the faith, because we it's we're trying to uh, how to put this, really, we're not trying to be some kind of cool and funky kind of radio station, but we are really trying to be basically quite accessible, with one eye always on outreach. It's where faith comes to life is one of the little catchphrases that we've got a whole bunch of stuff on the website about evangelism and reaching out. And part of UCB1's journey was okay, we've got this group of people who aren't being served in the alternative music scene. We want to put on a rock show, but we don't know anything about it. And then they put me in to do the rock show. So I started doing that three or so years ago, and just kind of playing this kind of music. But it's all about the stories of faith and how God's come into people's lives that they're really, really interested in. When you're sat there saying, hey, I joined the band in 2012, but then I realized I had to make that change. That's
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's I really resonate with that. When it comes to I came to the faith after I joined my band, and the first few songs was just basically Slipknot but with worse language. And then now it's turned massively into Christian inspired lyrics. Can you just go into that a little bit more about how you've intentionally went into that with your lyrics, and how you brought God into the music more?
Yeah. So I've been performing and playing in bands since I was 15 years old. So as far back as 2005. Um And I went through the whole local scene, trying to
Yeah.
climb the ladder, trying out different bands. Really angsty, angry, more about creating music that would glorify me and like trying to have some type of status symbol. Like that was like the big first temptation, creating music.
Yeah.
And I didn't go anywhere quick. And I went through a big pivotal moment in my life where I was struggling with um just my identity as who I am and where I want to go, and um having strong atheist views, and trying to get in theological debates at every party I would go to, things like that. Like
Okay.
it was a really interesting time for me because God showed up and humbled me really fast, and I went down a dark mental health path, and it had led me to some suicidal ideals and things like that. And when I met God, I was 19, so it was like a few years before convictions approached me. um, I really put a lot of like effort into turning my life into a different direction, and being selfless, and really trying to see beyond myself. And that's something I still struggle with, like being like a lead singer, like you have an ego that you really need to keep in check. And I when I was approached by convictions, it was funny because my dad was also a new believer.
Mm.
I remember bringing the idea of me being in a Christian band to him, and he was telling me like you got to really turn things around. You got to basically become a different person. And
Yeah.
so, like I said earlier, like that's where the our first album title came from. I will become like a completely different
Yeah, I
person
mean,
almost.
Hey, this interview was recorded for the UCB1 Rock Show, the only show on national radio in the UK currently playing Christian hard rock and heavy metal. If you want to find out how you can listen in, even if you're not inside the UK, all the details on how you can do that are going to be noted in the first pinned comment and also in the description below. Let's get back to Michael.
it's so good, man, that you kind of said that whole thing about it being about me as that lead singer, because for like the first interview that we did in this season that we've just stepped into, it actually was with an English singer-songwriter, worship leader, and I asked her the question, being on a stage, there's a lot of temptations in there to kind of perform in a certain way, or when the crowd's doing this or that. What's your number one kind of temptational thing you struggle with? And she was just like, it's the hardest thing not to make all of this praise about me. It's and
Mhm.
to point people towards God. It sounds like that's like a temptation that all kind of front men, I guess, will have. Is that?
Yeah, and it's not always necessarily like a malicious intent. Like,
No, no.
like it can be like a lot of my walk growing up was just feeling insignificant and wanting to like matter, and to try and combat bullying
Yeah.
and feeling like an outcast and so forth. So like being on a stage, literally, like you're larger than life in some cases. And so
Mm,
it's like, do you take that and do you become like a villain, or do you
absolutely.
take it and try to help others and
I mean, you're right,
represent
man.
something positive?
100%, man. And like when you're on stage, something that I found when I'm performing live is that I'm not like pretending to be somebody else, but I'm kind of like you times two. It's like all the
Mm.
good things inside me, you just kind of pump it up like twice as big as normal. You're trying to be larger than life. And it has caused me to kind of do stupid things. Like when you look back and go, why did I do that?
Right.
And you kind of think, wow, that looks really arrogant. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's being self aware. I mean, like, I'm wearing a conviction shirt right now. Like, that's as shameless as it gets, but it's laundry day. I just had nothing else to wear. And
well,
so I threw on one of my band shirts.
I tell
But
you what, man, like one of the this is how lame I am. I was sat here and I had a full-on 10-minute conversation with myself as to whether I should wear my convictions t-shirt to this interview or not. I was like, should I do that? I mean, I don't want to
I
be
will,
that.
I will support that fully. Yeah.
Awesome.
Uh,
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the new album that just dropped because I mean it is a straight banger. When this goes out on when it goes live on YouTube, it'll be on the same day that it goes on the Rock Show, which is going to be a few weeks in advance, so it'll have actually been out for quite a few weeks when people actually see this. But
Cool.
before we kind of go into that, I really wanted to just talk about the last one because the last one was super good as well, and I noticed a massive kind of development between the two. And the first question that I got is when I was listening to like the Fear of God, the actual title track, I noticed like it was as if like it was as if the I Won't Survive EP was
Mhm.
in 4K and the Fear of God was in Ultra HD. It's like the have you been working on the vocal technique and just
Oh
added
yes.
it's just like I just noticed it would just jump straight out of the speakers at me, man. Like what have you been up to?
Wow. Oh, that's so cool. So you're a frontman as well. You're a vocalist as well.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I want to hear your stuff, but to answer your question, yeah, a lot of that was like trying to look beyond like my ability really, and uh, there's like as a vocalist like yourself, like there's so much uncharted territory, like when it comes to like clean singing
Mm,
or being more extreme. And so for me, like the last couple years here, I've been really like captivated with like the deathcore scene and what's
yeah.
going on. This is like an uncharted area, and I want to be a part of that. And so I think there's that, and yeah, just trying to push myself. And I'd mentioned in an interview recently, a lot of that drive to keep pushing the envelope came off of the back of my tour I did, singing in August Burns Red, filling in with them. Super pumped on that experience and performance. But when I got off of it, I was like, okay, I really want to step it up now. Like let's
Yeah.
take this to the next level. And it's something I'm still working on. And I stepped into a position now where I'm a screaming vocal instructor. So I teach people now. And so I have to like really be mindful of like different techniques and breath support, all the different
Mm,
dynamics of false chords, fry screaming, you name it. Like
sure, yeah.
I'm constantly trying to study on that and learn more about it so I can help people with their needs. So,
Yeah.
um,
Did you get the Zen of Screaming? Have you got that?
yeah, that was one of the first things that we had access to as
Shooting
screamers. So this is
scores.
this is like 2005, maybe four.
Yeah.
It was like I
Melissa
remember
Cross.
Melissa Cross. Yeah, the Zen of
Yeah.
Screaming. There's DVDs floating around, and I
Yeah.
think some of the kids in my high school had that too back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, very limited resources
Mm.
and a lot of trial and error.
Oh yeah.
So now it's really cool. You can really like learn a lot about it now. There's a lot of really cool resources out there.
Yeah, 100%. There was in that track, The Fear of God, I was listening to it in the car coming home tonight actually, and there's this bit where you do I think the technique is probably called tunnel throat, but
Hmm.
there's another thing to it that just reminded me. It sounded. Do you know much Lorna Shore? Have you seen and heard Into the
Yeah,
Dark? There's
yeah.
that bit
We've
of the
we've toured with so Will's old band, Awaken Providence. We've toured with them. So I've toured with Will, and
that
he's insane.
he's not human. That bit at the end of Into the Dark, Into the Earth, sorry, where it's like that I can't do it myself, but there was a bit that just sounded exactly like that in the Fear of God, man, and I was like,
Oh, that's
wow,
cool.
that was totally cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny that technique and that style of screaming, as far as like effort wise, like the physicality behind it is so easy
Mm,
compared to like the brute force screaming. Like we have a song on a record called Four Horses,
mm,
and that song is very hard to perform
mm,
compared to like Fear of God. It's just Fear of God's more technical. Like songs like Four Horses, or it's just like almost borderline yelling.
mm.
It takes such a toll on you, and you have to be like super mindful not to like push go beyond your threshold and
Mm.
really do true damage. So
100%. I
um
mean, if you start choking
yeah.
and coughing, you're just doing it wrong, aren't you? And I think
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned at the start of this that like it's breath control is like it's really boring, but it's really important. It's just like
Super
the
boring. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've had to do like research on like true like choir like
Mm.
operatic singing, and that stuff is so boring. Like I don't it's your diaphragm support and the control that you must put, like I'm just like falling asleep. I'm like, I just want to scream, but like you do gotta like take notes from like people that have been doing it for hundreds of years, if not thousands, at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
they're just being a bit humble, isn't it? I think there's many a young man who just gets angry and gets into a band and just wants to shout and shout and shout. But it's
right,
like, you've just got to be a little bit like, yeah, no, I'll learn from people who are already doing it well, doing it day after day and not killing themselves. How do you do it? And
right.
you know,
That was me for about 10 years. Yeah, the like last few years of, well, I would say at least with Convictions, like there's two records, couple EPs where it's just pure emotion, and I would blow up my voice
Mm,
every song, every show. Like
mm.
it was brutal.
Hey, real quick, if you're having a good time today, can I just ask you to hit that like button and maybe leave a comment as well? It really helps get this video shared out to more people. And if you want to help more people experience the power of God's love through alternative Christian music, why don't you share this video with a friend or drop it in your social media group of choice? Let's get back to the interview with Michael Felker.
That's cool. Right, but you mentioned that you might be. Actually, I can't remember if you mentioned it in this one before we started talking. You might have you got like I think you mentioned that like no. Let me start again. One of the good things about not doing it live is I can just chop that like stuttering out.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, yep, that'll work.
That works quite well. So yeah, I'm just going to perfectly ask the next question. Yeah. So I told my wife when I was going to come and like speak to you today. I was like, I met Mike and I met Zach and I met a couple of the guys when you guys came to the UK a couple of years ago. It was the first time I'd seen any Christian metal band. You were the first Christian metal band that I'd ever listened to, because I came to
Whoa.
the faith later on in life, man, and it was just like this is how like isolated against Christianity I was. I was like, I wonder if like Christian and metal goes together. Like if that's even a thing. I didn't even realize
Yeah,
it. So I just searched Christian metal Google and
yeah.
Convictions came up. And I was like, dang, this is awesome.
Whoa.
That was after I came to the faith. So I was really stoked to see you guys play. Um and it was such a weird experience. I don't know if you I told my wife I was going to speak to you and I was like, I bet Mike remembers me. He'll remember me 100%. Like, no, I'm only joking. Of
Yeah.
course, no, he
This
won't. There's no way he would remember me. But
was was
uh,
this 2019?
it will have been around that time, yeah. And it was at a club
Yeah, yeah.
called Atma in Manchester, and it was a really quiet
Oh,
show.
yeah.
It,
I think that was our first show, maybe on the tour.
I was
It
just
was
like,
upstairs venue.
it was.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, I remember that was the first show
do you
that we
remember the
did
show?
as a headliner. Yeah, yep, I do.
Oh
Yep,
man, that was such a cool show, and it was
yeah,
like I didn't think I was even going to be able to get anywhere near you guys to just come and say hello, and I was just able to like hang out with you guys at the merch stall and buy t-shirts and stuff. So that was pretty dope. But anyway, I feel like I'm talking too much, so I do apologize. But basically, what
no,
one thing I noticed is it being my first Christian show was there was this at the very start before you went on stage, you
mhm.
all just got together and kind of prayed before you
Yeah,
played, and
yeah,
then when you played about like halfway through or something, you just kind of stopped everything and like
yeah.
went to the front of the stage, put the mic down, and you was just like I would what we'd call it giving a testimony to preaching or to talking to the crowd and just talking about God. And I remember thinking like, man alive, these kids are just gonna like lynch him because it's just this is what the UK is like. But they all
Oh
just like
yeah.
warmed to you. They all just kind of went up and they were just like listening. And I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Is that
Oh,
the
that's
kind of
great.
thing that happens often? Do you do that a lot or what?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just depends on like the situation we're in. Like a headlining tour, we will do that a lot, or maybe a Christian festival. Of course, that'll make sense. But yeah, the last few years here, a lot of it's been like mental health outreach. We put out a song which did really well for us. It's called "The Price of Grace," and so
Mm,
I was kind of using that as kind of a platform to speak on mental health and suicide prevention. Um, so yeah, usually there's some moment where we'll just kind of be transparent on a subject or where we're at. Um, but it's just kind of a case by case thing, and it's not always well received. We did a show in Austria, I think it was, and there was some really angry people that we even mentioned God, which I thought was funny. It was funny. Yeah, it was cool. But we yeah, we try to put it all out there and just be transparent. Like that's the best way to do it. There's not like I don't want there to look like there's some hidden motive or hidden message and I'm trying to sneak that subliminally in there or something. Like I'm like, hey, here we are, like take it or leave it. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You can like write. I mean, you write the lyrics, don't you, for the music, or is it by a band thing or?
Yeah, like we'll bounce ideas off each other, but at least with this record we just put out, I had a probably 80% hold on the lyrics for that.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're putting together the lyrics, there's always a kind of question as to, okay, am I going to be explicit about putting words Jesus in there and talking about God? This is a faith thing, or am I just going to be like optimistic messages of hope and and kind of tiptoe around and maybe. So, but yeah, from when I read through the lyrics of your guys' stuff, it's quite obvious that it's very much a Christian bound, a Christian message, trying to reach out to people. And it's just really, I was just honestly, when you was in a secular venue and it was just like a bunch of different bands before you who were just doing what they do in the UK, lots of swearing, lots of whatever. And then you guys are just like, hey, and this is Jesus. And honestly, I didn't think that they would accept that, but they all just really took to it. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was just amazing. And we need more of it in this country. We don't have a great scene, so it's really cool.
Yeah, we recently hit it off with a band from your area called Confessions of a Traitor.
Yeah. Spoke to
love those
Steve
guys.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I love him. And yeah, I was just kind of picking their brain on, like what's the scene out here? Is there a Christian scene? Is there not? Like, not that that's like a super like, I don't know. Maybe I might need to backtrack here. I'm speaking faster than I'm thinking. I was just I remember talking to Steve. Right, yeah. I remember talking to Steve about it, and it seemed like it was just kind of here and there, like not a major thing, and that's okay. I'm not judging, or people want to make music. That's great.
No, that's dope, man. And when if you do get over this way again, I'll be there. Yeah, it's just gonna be awesome. Yeah. Okay, man. Right. So, the new album, we've discussed the actual title track, but we haven't discussed the finest example of music video making ever in the history of music videos, which is clearly Coastal Glow. That is the that's the most amazing music video I've ever seen in my life.
It's time to get a real job.
It's a lot harder than you think.
Anybody could do it.
I don't know. You think it's so easy? Why don't you do it?
Oh, 100% I could do it.
All right, well, good luck with your Screamo. Keep your pineapple pizza. I'm out.
Really? Really?
Yep.
Where did that come from? The idea for that? That was just genius.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Probably the most fun I've had making a music video. We've never done a funny video, and we're all super goofy guys. So it was just kind of fun to take the serious vibe off for a second, and it mirrored some real life conversations that my dad have had. So in the beginning, my dad and I were kind of going back and forth, and you need to get a real job. You need to go, we've had those we've had those talks before. So it was just a real job. Yeah, right. So that was it was what if we made a whole video about that? But what if we made it some montage? I'm a big South Park fan, and there's an episode where Randy's training up himself to fight at his son's I think it's a hockey game or something, or football game. But that was kind of thinking of that, and I was oh my gosh, we could do a Rocky sequence and have him replace me in the band, and then he kills it. And yeah, it's just the more we talked about it, the more we were laughing. And
this has got to happen.
Right. Yeah. And John actually used to be in Convictions. He's a video director now. The more we talk about it, the more we're laughing. We're like, okay, yeah, we have to do this.
Yeah.
And then I had Sonny from POD on my wish list. I was like, I would love to get him involved with them with the video. Love POD. I made some calls and we made it happen. It was so cool.
Yeah, honestly, brilliant. So 2 questions that came instantly to mind was firstly, does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
It's just heresy. That's
Yeah,
just...
my dad doesn't like it either, but he was like, "Oh, I gotta pretend like I like it," and But yeah, no, we are a no pineapple on pizza family.
Yeah, did he legitimately refer to it as screamo? Is that?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if he calls it screamo, in real life. But my parents will both get on me about like, oh, you're just hollering in the microphone, rah, 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 rah. Like they'll actually do that to me. But like, it's just been a funny ride because like there's been highs and lows, obviously, on this journey, and there's those serious talks. Okay, are you going to get a real job, or are you going to settle down, whatever. But there's been like peaks in these, like where we're like, we'll go to like Europe or something and do something really cool. And they're like, all right, like I see you. And they're like, they get really supportive. So I love my parents, and it was so cool that my dad was so on board with it. My dad, like, if he was born like the same year I was born, like there's a really good chance he would be a frontman too. Like he's very charismatic, and it's so funny.
Yeah, man, he crushed it in that video. That was really cool. I love the lyrics as well that was on his like lyric sheet. It was just like rawr, blah.
Yeah, all the stereotypes. Yeah,
I'm pretty much running out of time now, so I'm going to have to kind of wind it up there. But Mike from Convictions, thank you so much for coming and hanging out, dude. It's been cool.
Yeah, this is a blast. Yeah, sorry for my word vomit. I'm like, all right, I'm already like, okay, that was goofy. Shouldn't have said that. But you made me feel comfortable, man. So I appreciate hanging out with you.
Man. Thank you.
What a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed speaking to Mike from Convictions. And if you want to find out how you can connect with him and the band, keep up to date with all the news and hear that latest album, The Fear of God, go check out the description where I've listed all of their socials. If you've got this far, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button and coming back next week when I'm going to be introducing you to Maggie English, also known as Magdalene Rose. She was the front person of the GFM band. She's back with a solo project. It's awesome. She's got a fantastic story and I can't wait to share it with you. Until next week, look after yourself and see you later. Goodbye.